Season, as the financial disparity continued in football and everywhere else continued to widen, and it was Manchester United who led the way in terms of both total and net expenditure. Having just finished 7th in their first season without Alex Ferguson for 27 years, which was also their lowest league finish in 24 years, the Red Devils splashed the cash in a bid to reassert themselves. It didn't work. Still hasn't. Angel Di Maria was the marquee signing, arriving for a British record transfer fee from Real Madrid, but he only lasted a single season at Old Trafford before being sold to PSG for a loss. He was joined by Ander Herrera, Luke Shaw, Marcus Rojo, and Daley Blind, as United finished 4th under new boss Louis van Gaal, 17 points off the title. Barcelona, Liverpool, and Atletico Madrid were the world's next highest spenders. Meanwhile, Hull City were 18th, a new PB, but would be relegated at the end of the season. Brilliant. 2015-16, Manchester City. Left disappointed at having failed to retain the Premier League title the previous season, Man City sanctioned another flurry of arrivals in the 2015-16 season, which cost them a total of more than €200 million. Future club legends Raheem Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne were signed for a combined €140 million, alongside the likes of Nicolas Otamendi and Fabian Delph. Man City fell from 2nd to 4th that season, but at least they won the League Cup. Man United, Juventus, and, you may be surprised to discover, Valencia were the world's next highest spenders, in a season where the La Liga giants spent almost €150 million on the likes of Alvaro Negredo and Joao Cancelo, but ended up appointing Gary Neville. 2016-17. Manchester City. If at first, alright Alfie, we get the point. The 2016-17 season was Pep Guardiola's first at Man City, and they backed the Catalan quite substantially in the transfer market. As Martin Di Michaelis, Richard Wright, and Edin Dzeko all departed, in came Ilkay Gundogan, Nolito, Leroy Sané, John Stones, Claudio Bravo, and, in the January window, Gabriel Jesus. It wasn't enough. Man City could only finish 3rd, 15 points behind title winners Chelsea, and Pep was dismissed as a ball fraud who'd never be heard from again. Juventus, Manchester United, and Inter Milan were the game's next highest spenders in a mini resurgence of Serie A investment. Meanwhile, Shanghai SIPG cracked the top 10, sandwiched between Arsenal and Barcelona, as China unleashed a brief but substantial wave of investment in football. 2017-18. Barcelona. Manchester City had the highest net spend for a 3rd successive season in 2017-18, becoming the only team other than Roman Abramovich's first 3 seasons at Chelsea to attain that feat, as Guardiola added the likes of Bernardo Silva, Ederson, Cal Walker, Danilo, Benjamin Mendy, and Emerick Laporte to his ranks, and it turned out that he wasn't a ball fraud after all. He was bald, to be clear, just not a fraud. In terms solely of expenditure, however, it was Barcelona, for the second and last time in this entire video, who were the biggest spenders in world football. Having missed out on the La Liga title to Real Madrid by 3 points the previous season, Barca brought in Nelson.
Oh my God! What was that shit?
And in the January window, Philippe Coutinho. It was the highest spending season in the history of the sport, not adjusting for football-specific inflation, but it was offset by Neymar's world record-breaking sale to Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh yes, sir.
Neymar for a world record fee that still stands, PSG only had the 4th highest transfer expenditure in 2017-18, sandwiched between Chelsea and Everton. Yeah, Everton. Spent it very well, didn't have any regulatory trouble after that, and, won loads of trophies. 2018-19. Juventus signed Joao Cancelo, Leonardo Bonucci, and Douglas Costa for substantial fees in the 2018-19 season, as well as making Cristiano Ronaldo the most expensive footballer over the age of 30, and the most expensive signed by an Italian club of all time. Ronaldo scored plenty of goals, and Juve retained the Serie A title for the next 2 seasons, but some of their investments over this period would age pretty quickly. PSG only very narrowly trailed Juventus in terms of both total expenditure and net spend, as they made Kylian Mbappe the second most expensive footballer, and by far the most expensive teenager,
Yes,
in the
sir.
history of the sport. Mbappe ultimately left PSG for nothing, and they won their first ever Champions League the season after he departed, but he did become their all-time leading goal scorer during the intervening period. 2019-20, Real Madrid. Los Blancos seem to reassert themselves in terms of spending every 6 or 7 years, without fail, and they were at it again in 2019-20. In one of the highest spending seasons of all time, Florentino Perez unveiled the likes of Rodrigo, Bale and Mendy, Luka Jovic, Eden Militao, and the club's new record signing, Eden Hazard. Jovic and Hazard proved to be calamitous, but Real Madrid did win their first La Liga title in 3 years that season. Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Manchester United, Juventus and Napoli all also had massive windows, as Barca brought in Frenkie de Jong, Antoine Griezmann and a handful of others for almost €300 million. Over the 2010s as a whole, Man City were the highest spenders in world football, narrowly ahead of Barcelona, Juventus, Chelsea, Man United, PSG and Real Madrid in terms of total expenditure, but miles clear of all of them when it comes to net. 2020-21, Chelsea. For the first time in 15 years, Chelsea were back to being the biggest spenders in world football in the 2020-21 season. Coming out of a single-season transfer embargo under Frank Lampard, with the Eden Hazard proceeds still in their back pocket, Chelsea threw over €250 million at the likes of Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner, Ben Chilwell, Kai Havertz, and Edouard Mendy. It was a bit of a strange season, as the Blues finished fourth, Lampard was sacked, and few of their big money signings went on to become roaring successes at Stamford Bridge. Yet Chelsea lifted the Champions League under Lampard's successor Thomas Tuchel. Man City, who won the title that season, had the second highest expenditure. Meanwhile, Leeds United, who finished ninth in the Premier League following promotion from the Championship, actually had the second highest net spend, behind Chelsea, in all of world football. 2021-22, Arsenal.
You gotta be kidding me, bro.
In both of Mikel Arteta's first 2 seasons in charge of the club, Arsenal spent big in 2021-22, becoming the highest spending club on the planet for the first and only time in this video, in terms of either total expenditure or net spend. Ben White, Martin Odegaard and Aaron Ramsdale were the most expensive arrivals, as Arsenal climbed to 5th in the Premier League table. The second highest net spend came courtesy of Newcastle United, following their takeover by the Saudi state, as the Magpies sanctioned £100 million of spending in the January window alone, followed, incidentally, by Roma, who signed Tammy Abraham for €40 million from Chelsea that season. 2022-23, Chelsea. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The UK decided that all of a sudden some Russian oligarchs were bad, and Roman Abramovich was sanctioned. Chelsea were effectively seized by the British government before the Blue Coat Consortium acquired them for a record-breaking While many anticipated a classic American ownership regime, the top-level consortium actually blew even Roman Abramovich's spending habits out of the water. Even adjusting for inflation, Chelsea became by far the highest spending football club of all time. In the 2022-23 season, the Blues spent a record-breaking €613 million gross and €562 million net, as the likes of Raheem Sterling, Kalidou Koulibaly, Wesley Fofana and Marc Cucurella joined the club. They had 4 different managers and finished 12th. Nottingham Forest, West Ham United and Newcastle United were the world's 3rd, 4th and 5th highest spenders, as 9 of the 10 highest spending clubs on the planet were based in England. Barcelona, the sole exception, ranked 10th. 2023-24, Chelsea. If €630 million could guarantee Chelsea 12th, then maybe €1 billion could sneak them into 6th. That was the master plan at Stamford Bridge in the 2023-24 season, and it worked a treat. A further €464 million was spent on the likes of Christopher Nkunku, Nicholas Jackson, Axel Disasi, Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia and Cole Palmer, as Chelsea very narrowly outspent PSG, who brought in the likes of Manuel Ugarte, Ousmane Dembele, Gonzalo Ramos, and Randall Kolo Muani. The highest net spend in world football came courtesy of Al Hilal from the emerging force, in economic terms at least, of the Saudi Pro League. Al Hilal spent over €374 million net on Kalidou Koulibaly, Ruben Neves, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, Malcolm, Neymar, Yassin Bounou, Alexander Mitrovic, Hassan Al-Tamaki, and Renan Haddad. Rarely has so much been spent on so little in the history of the sport. Neymar, Al Hilal's record signing, played 7 games for them and left after 16 months for nothing. 2024-25, Chelsea. Chelsea are not only the only team in this video to have done a three-peat in terms of spending, they have somehow done it twice, making it a two-peat, three-peat, if such a thing exists. Well, it must, mustn't it? They did it. The Blues were a little less exuberant last season, but only a little, laying out close to €300 million on the likes of Pedro Neto, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, Philip Richardson, and Joao Felix. Is it just me, or does it feel like longer ago than last season that Chelsea signed Joao Felix on a permanent basis? Anyway, he was sold after a single season to Al Nassr for a £16 million loss. Chelsea only spent around €500,000 more than Brighton last season, who, you may be surprised to discover, had by far the highest net spend in world football and among the highest of all time. Following a raft of lucrative sales in recent years, many of them suit Chelsea, the Seagulls threw near enough €300 million at Jorginho Ruta, Yankuba Minte, Matt Stipa, Brian Gruder, Ferdi Karahuklu, Matt O'Reilly, and Stefan Simos, among others. It was a busy old summer. 2025-26, Liverpool. Of course, the 2025-26 season isn't done yet, and January could change the situation. But as things stand, Liverpool are the biggest gross spenders in world football, marking their first inclusion, followed by Chelsea. Arsenal have the highest net spend, and 9 out of the 10 highest spenders, yet again, come courtesy of the Premier League. Bayer Leverkusen, the sole exception in 9th, still made a more than €30 million net profit after their squad was decimated and their best players were poached by bigger or richer clubs. Liverpool's almost €500 million window is among the heftiest in the history of the sport, and somewhat uncharacteristic, as the likes of Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, and Alexander Isak were added to what was already a title-winning squad. Currently 7th, having lost their last 4 league games, there is a bit of an inquest surrounding some of Liverpool's big money signings and their slow start to the campaign. Throughout the 2020s as a whole, up to this point, you won't be surprised to discover that Chelsea are by far the highest spenders, having spent over €2 billion in total and almost €1 billion net, followed by Man City, Man United, PSG, Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Juventus, Newcastle, and West Ham. That is 8 of the top 10 big English leagues. In case you were wondering, albeit it is far more difficult to gather accurate data and statistics, so take some of this with a pinch of salt. The highest spenders by decade were most likely Newcastle United in the 1900s, Aston Villa and Newcastle in the 1910s, Arsenal and Newcastle in the 1950s, Arsenal and River Plate in the 1930s, Newcastle Sunderland, Independiente Santa Fe and Millonarios in the 1940s, Juventus, Real Madrid, Sunderland and the Colombians again in the 50s, Juventus and Inter Milan in the 60s, Barcelona, Real Madrid and Everton in the 1970s, and AC Milan, Inter, Juve, Napoli and Barca in the 1980s. From 1990 to 2025 as a whole, no team spent more than Chelsea's €4.29 billion, followed by Man City, Juventus, Man United and Real Madrid. In terms of net spend, it is Man United who reign supreme, followed by Man City, Chelsea, PSG and Real Madrid. Throughout the entire period, Newcastle have a higher net spend than Bayern Munich, 4 Saudi clubs already ranked among the 25 highest spenders, and Guangzhou FC of A China Fortune and Jiangsu, 3 clubs who no longer exist, all have a higher net spend than European giants like Celtic, Rangers, Real Betis, Borussia Dortmund and Tottenham. That is it for today's video, but watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And make sure, ever more urgent, that you are subscribed both to this channel, HITT7s, and also for longer or more documentary style and to camera videos, my second channel, or sister channel, Alfie Potsama, both of which should be about to appear on your screens now, along with a couple of videos that you might enjoy watching after this one. You can also find me on social media, typically by the username @HITT7s, should you wish to do so. And you can now support my work additionally, should you be a real mega fan and, just a stand-up person, really, all the good people are doing it, by heading over either to the Alfie Potsama YouTube channel, where you can become a channel member, or leave a super thanks, or by going to buymeacoffee.com/Alfie Potsama, where you can do the same thing, become a channel member or leave a one-time donation, but Google won't take almost a third of it. So preferable, but either are great, as are neither, but they are better than neither. But all is good. I'll see you all next time. Please take care out there. I love you very much. Cheers. For over 40 years, only 2 teams have won the Scottish Premiership. The last time that a club that wasn't named either Celtic or Rangers were crowned as the champions of Scottish football was Aberdeen in the 1984-85 season under the stewardship of Alex Ferguson. Thatcher was Prime Minister, the Berlin Wall was standing, and Chernobyl was known only as a well-functioning nuclear power plant and a symbol of Soviet modernity. That run threatens to come to an end this season, though, as Hearts lead the Scottish Premiership table by 6 points after 10 games, whilst both Celtic and Rangers appear to be mired in crises. This month, Rangers sacked Russell Martin and Brendan Rodgers walked out on Celtic. It's the first time in history that Celtic and Rangers have parted ways with managers during the same season, let alone during the same month. Domestically, Rangers have endured their worst start to a season in 47 years, with just 3 wins from their opening 10 games, and in Europe, a humiliating 9-1 defeat on aggregate against Club Brugge in Champions League qualifying has been followed by 3 defeats from 3 in the Europa League, leaving Rangers 36 out of 36 teams in the league phase. This courtesy of a club who reached the Europa League quarter-finals last season, and the final itself as recently as 2022. Celtic, meanwhile, recently lost back-to-back league games for the first time since December 2023, and their own Champions League qualification prospects ended away in Kazakhstan against Kairat in August, costing the club an estimated €18 million. Hearts, on the other hand, who won their last top-flight league title over 65 years ago, were in administration in 2014, and in the Scottish Championship as recently as 2021, looked to be somewhat unstoppable. Despite finishing 7th last season, much closer to relegation than the title, they have won 8 of their opening 10 games this season, and still remain unbeaten. Much lauded Brighton owner Tony Bloom acquired a minority stake in Hearts over the summer, furthering a relationship between his data analytics firm, Jamestown Analytics, and the club. Bloom described his goal as being to, quote, disrupt the pattern of domination which has been in place for far too long, and so far, he looks to be doing a fairly magnificent job of capitalising upon the chaos of the Glasgow Giants. In truth, I could make much more detailed feature-length documentaries about each one of Celtic, Rangers, and Hearts' current situations, and with time, either here or on the Alfie Potsama YouTube channel, I probably will. But since I couldn't narrow them down to just one, and I have been bombarded with requests, today is a broader overview of the ensuing madness in the Scottish Premiership, for those of you who have maybe seen the league table recently, and wondered what on earth is going on. Well, that's what today's video is all about. So sit back, relax, and join me on a journey to Scotland, the most football-obsessed nation on earth on a per capita basis, but also frequently one of the weirdest and most chaotic, as we take a look at why Celtic and Rangers aren't very good, why Hearts are, and why Aberdeen have just hired a fella who once stole a penguin, among other things. Glasgow has a relationship with football like few other cities on earth. It is home to 3 stadiums with capacities in excess of 50,000, Europe's 2 most successful clubs in terms of trophies, and arguably the fiercest and most intense rivalry in all of world football. Whereas Liverpool and Man United
I'll be 10 because it's gonna be the last day here. So then go back to work. They're gonna go to Mexico, so I don't know how long I'm gonna have to play. This nigga. Not yet, boy. Not yet, boy. I don't think so. I can see if he got to, but I doubt it.
I don't think he knows it.
Where you at? Where you at?
I think we're here.
Oh shit.
Why'd you gonna be like, ain't no way?
Let's see what's so entertaining.
Bro, it's so entertaining, bro. You're basically like coaching up the team, like a coach.
Oh, you know it, bro.
Oh! Just saying we're underdogs.
This stick is the worst.
Wait, let me put the crowd noise just for you, bro. I got you.
I just quiet as fuck when you hear, bro, why can't I hear my voice, bro?
Huh?
Why can't I hear my voice?
Because you're talking, man.
Huh?
You're talking. Science law. Cannot hear your own voice because of Section 148 black. Nah, but just saying, like 4-2 though. You know what I'm saying? Beat the best team in the league. Type shit. Taking over the league.
No, bro, it's the.
Rage content of
Nah,
you.
bro, talk, bro. Hey, I'm finna cheat later tonight. Nigga.
They be like, yo, get him up the mic. Nah, nigga.
Hey, get that drug addict on the mic. Like that.
Oh no.
Bro, I'm saying, bro. I'm telling you, bro. We, bro, we gotta get the boys back on. Tell Jaden to stop being a fucking bitch.
You guys number?
Yeah, nigga, bro. I called you, he's like, no.
What? So you think if I ask him, he's gonna be like, yes?
Yeah, of course. Fucking said this shit, bitch ass girl. Every said yes, your ass. No one said yes to me, bro. Like, okay, when and where? I swear, bro. I'm telling niggas hop on. All of a sudden, this fucking time was hell no. I'm playing dead. I'm like, alright, whatever. Next day, I see these niggas on with us. What the fuck? I'm like, nigga, what?
Oh man.
Time was oh yeah, don't David told me to get it. Nigga, what?
I don't know. I don't think that never happened.
Hey, bro, I still got half of my blood flow left, like a little more than half.
Oh hell no. What time did you crash out?
Huh?
I was waiting for you to hop on, bro. I was like, this
Oh,
nigga
I ain't gonna
died.
lie, bro. I was fucking tired.
I was like, bro, this probably fell on mic playing for it. I was like,
Nigga, I fell asleep at like 2 in the morning.
nah, I'm still awake. I mean,
Nah,
I'm
nigga,
still awake. I'm still awake.
I fell asleep.
I just woke up. My mom woke me up. I crashed out like at 6. She said, Damien, wake up. I was like, what? She's like, oh, no, I just wanted to see you if you wake up. So I was like, bro. Yeah.
She's still here.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, bro, I had as good as nap, bro. I was like halfway off the bed and shit, arms spread. Just for her fucking touch my shoulder. Hey, wake up. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm awake now, what the fuck?
Nigga, brother, you waking up fucking yelling, nigga.
It's because my nephews are not back here. I fucking send them out. I told them, I was like, yeah, I need a night for myself. I wake up just like, bro, you're touching me, bro. What's up? You start hearing like slap marks and shit. Like, these niggas start like slap boxing, and then you just hear one get serious and just punch the fuck out of one. I'm like, yo, these motherfuckers got anger issue, bro.
These niggas are yelling right in front of each other, bro. Like they act like they're fucking talking like in whispers, bro. They're just yelling loud shit. Bro, I was just standing there watching them fucking talk, and then they got fucking loud, you know, this and that. Hey, fucking, I'm gonna kick y'all motherfuckers out. Y'all better fucking calm that shit down.
Oh no.
They're fucking lying. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up, bro.
I thought I was tripping. I was like, damn. I was like, hold on. I was like, the voices do sound mad familiar, but damn, why is it low-key getting louder by the second?
Bro, I was telling them, bro, you don't get each other. No way. Bro, I was like, why is it getting loud?
Around two.
Like,
Go back up. Fuck no. He was like, this is why I take those jobs. So I could leave.
Bro, it's fucking waking up to fucking nothing, man. It feels good. Waking up to the court and you see it in my
This nigga. I mean, I'm butt ass nigga right now. Look at the butt.
Bro, we can play back for blood, nigga.
No, we don't.
Nigga, I never tried it, nigga.
I tried it at least 6 times. It won't change the. Bro, I tried it with everybody I wanted to play with. I tried it with my sister who got me into Black and Left 4 Dead, and I tried it with my cousins. It won't change it, bro. If I play with you, bro, the shit's ass.
Bro, but those are gonna be fun, bro. You have to.
Bro, the game is ass, bro. The game is garbage. Like.
Oh, what about Battle Block Theater?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
You don't know what Battle Block Theater?
No. Oh. Battle Block? That shit sounds like a Fortnite shit.
You know what?
Sounds like Fortnite shit. I mean, Roblox. What is that?
Battle Block Theater?
That sounds mid.
Better than that, guys.
And no, I'm having the time of my life. Why you think I'm always on it?
Hey, 100 people play that shit.
Yeah, bro. I'm actually 1,000. But I am 1 out of 50 people streaming it. Like, so, what you got up?
You know how to get famous?
Oh, yeah, just spread your cheeks and just take it all the way.
Like, just. You're gonna do what speedos do back then. You're gonna start bouncing on shit. You're gonna start twerking.
Also, my employer would be like, "Oh yeah, we saw this video." Unless, like, hobby's never too late, bro. You can try it. And, like, I'll just be there for you, and I'll just be there for you. Oh, type shit. Nah, I think I'm good. No, bro, I'm trying to be comfortable, bro. Like I'm hearing like the fresh air hitting my shit. Like shit feel good. Yeah, like my balls, like.
Fucking airball.
Right, it just hit the right spot, and you just like the breeze.
Yeah, alright, bro. Well, I'm sitting down for let me know when you guys are I'll talk to you after.
I'm just repeat my shit to the.
Okay, to the time it's taken on London totals, PSG have won 13, and Bayern Munich 34, Celtic and Rangers each won 55, whilst no other Scottish club has won more than 4. Over half of all Scottish football fans identify themselves as being either Celtic or Rangers supporters, each accounting for roughly 12% of Scotland's total population. That's equivalent to about 665,000 fans each in Scotland alone, but Celtic and Rangers are global clubs to an extent which is virtually unique among clubs from comparatively small countries, enjoying especially large fan bases on the Isle of Ireland, owing to both sectarian and historic ties. At Celtic Park, as I know, they average a combined 108,000 fans per wins, which is more than the other 6 Scottish Premiership clubs combined. Consequently, their matchday revenue is incomparable to any other Scottish clubs. But I am going to talk about it anyway. I know. I'm like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, and I also do all of my own stunts, but without becoming a Scientologist. In their last set of accounts, Celtic raised just shy of £50 million in matchday revenue, and Rangers close to 44 million. Aberdeen had the next highest matchday revenue for the division, as £6.8 million. Hearts raised less than 6 million. Everton, which is worth noting, don't break down their revenue in terms of sectors, but it is safe to assume that their matchday revenue is not too dissimilar to Hearts and Aberdeen, based upon their attendance in particular. In other words, then, Celtic and Rangers raised between 6 to 7 times as much as the next highest earning Scottish Premiership club through matchday revenue, and over 20 times as much as the division's average, excluding themselves. In Premier League terms, Celtic and Rangers' matchday revenue is comparable to Newcastle and West Ham's, whereas the next highest earning Scottish Premiership club, Aberdeen, raised the same amount as the Premier League's lowest earners, Bournemouth. Bournemouth Stadium only holds 11,000 people. The same is true of commercial revenue, except there is a major gap even between the two old firm giants. Celtic raised 38.6 million,
Yo,
which is almost twice as much.
just stat padding at this point.
Who are followed by Aberdeen and Hearts at 9.4 and 8.7 million respectively. Again, kids don't state their precise club revenue, but it is also likely to be in that ballpark. For another Premier League comparison, Celtic are roughly on par with Everton, Rangers are neck and neck with Bournemouth, and Scotland's next highest earners have no Premier League players, because Burnley have the lowest commercial revenue in the Premier League of £14.1 million, which is 50% more than either Hearts or Aberdeen. What's more, whereas the Premier League's lowest earners from matchday and commercial revenue, like Bournemouth, Burnley and Brentford, can make up for it with by far the highest broadcast revenue in any league in football, Scotland's so-called other 10 have no such inbuilt advantage. Celtic, who have by far the highest broadcast revenue in the Scottish game, rake in about a quarter of the Premier League's lowest earners, Rangers roughly a sixth, and the Scottish Premiership's next highest earners, Aberdeen again, about 1/20th. Overall, therefore, the revenue gap in Scottish football is absolutely enormous. In the 2023-24 season, Celtic raised £124.6 million in total, Rangers £88.3 million, and Aberdeen, Hearts and Hibernian, in third, fourth and fifth, just £23.6, £20.3 and £15.9 million. This creates a virtually insurmountable gap between the Old Firm giants and everyone else, which has been reflected in their total dominance over the last 4 decades, and even Celtic's own domination over Rangers for the last 10 to 15 years. Celtic and Rangers wage bills, both in excess of £60 million, are almost 4 times the size of Hearts', which is the league's next largest, at just £16.5 million. In fact, they are each, on their own, at £65.6 and £61.2 million in Celtic and Rangers' cases respectively, almost the same size as the combined wage bills of every other club in the division. In revenue terms, no Scottish Premiership team outside of Celtic and Rangers has higher revenue than the likes of Plymouth Argyle and Park Rangers, and in terms of their wage bills, none spend more than top-end League One teams, or even half as much as the average team in the Championship. All of this is exacerbated by UEFA revenue, which has a distorted impact in smaller leagues, creating a vicious cycle, or a virtuous one, I suppose, depending on what you say.
Oh.
An unsignificantly harder time. Still the third best club in Scotland in the 2002-03 and 2003-04 seasons, behind you-know-who, albeit they were miles behind, the club had grown dangerous levels of debt. CEO Chris Robertson's solution was to sell Tynecastle, which has been the club's home since the 1880s, and to rent Murrayfield Stadium, which is literally across the road from Tynecastle, over 3 times the size, and serves as the home of Scottish rugby. Robinson claimed that Tynecastle was no longer fit for purpose, but a £20 million offer from Edinburgh headquartered property developers Cala to buy the stadium was most likely his true motivation. The proposals were met with fierce opposition from Hearts supporters, and in August 2004, it appeared as though they had found a solution. Russo-Lithuanian businessman Vladimir Romanov acquired a 19.6% stake in the club, promising both to clear the club's debts and to save Tynecastle. It was a very attractive proposal for most Hearts supporters, and Romanov eventually increased his majority share in the club to over 80%. A former sailor in the Soviet Navy, Romanov served aboard a Soviet K-19 submarine, which he later bought and invited his former crew members to the 2006 Scottish Cup final, where Hearts won on penalties against third-tier Gretna. Gretna, who had their own chaotic ownership saga, was sadly dissolved only 2 years later. Romanov, who was at one time estimated to be worth £300 million, was the chairman of UBIG Investments, which founded Lithuania's first private bank, following the country's independence from the Soviet Union. Despite his promises, Romanov never reduced the debt at Hearts, he just transferred it from British banks to his own Lithuanian bank. The debts actually increased as Romanov outlined his modest ambition to win the Champions League. I find that it's always good to set reasonable expectations. The 2005-06 season was the high point of Roman's career, as Hearts not only won the Scottish Cup, but finished the Scottish Premier League runner-up, 1 point ahead of Rangers in the second half, qualifying for the Champions League. They wouldn't win it, despite Roman's awful conditions, losing 5-1 on aggregate for the third goal. And in spite of what appeared to be a very successful season, Hearts burned through 4 different managers. This was a sign of the chaos. Romanov had bizarrely sacked Paul Sturley, while Hearts was at top of the Scottish Premier League table, leading to speculation that he had a big-name appointment right. The likes of Bobby Robson, Claudio Ranieri, and even 2-time Champions League winner Martin Stoltenberg, which meant that Hearts fans were somewhat confused when Romanov appointed Graham Brent, a man who had been out of the club since getting sacked by League 2 Oxford United. Brits lasted just 4 months before being replaced by Lithuanian head coach Valdas Ivanauskas, who had coached previously under technically Kaunas, a Lithuanian club which was also owned by Roman. Over the coming years, despite promising to build a more than £50 million players went unpaid, and Hearts were repeatedly threatened at military. Romanov appointed his own son, then 29-year-old Romanov, as Hearts' chairman of the executive, which, surprisingly, didn't turn out to be a massive struggle. This era had Hearts become stupid entirely, just about 15 convicts were already public. The long story short, Romanov's bank was eventually closed down by the Lithuanian central bank, and Romanov's entire business failed. Hearts were put up for sale in 2011 and issued loans to corporates as well over the tax bill during the same year that wages were lowered. The government administrated in 2008, going rapid
That was a crazy ass goal.
which meant that they started the 2034 with a 15-point deduction. Consequently, Hearts were relegated, and they were only saved from even worse fate by local businesses providing the necessary funds.
Dude, come off the boat, keep it on. Look like.
And though they were relegated again in 2027, which was prematurely for their sailing record, they secured an instant return as European. Following promotion back to the top flight in 2021, and Budge, who stayed with the chairman, transferred the club's shares from the foundation of Hearts, making Hearts the largest Annex club in Britain. Over the next 3 seasons, Hearts finished third, fourth, and third again, bringing European football back to high level, without ever looking like truly challenging either Celtic or Liverpool. Last season signalled a regression in this sense, as Hearts stumbled to a 7th place finish and starting went from scoring 20 a league to only scoring 8. Hearts had 4 different managers, including replacements, as gambles on Stephen Heathcliff and Neil Fritsch were back though a major development for the time. Brighton owned its only league proposal, requiring the most blood-intense taking club, the Jack Giants, received 98.5% approval from its supporters, who are still the top majority of the is a full-time club, and the shareholders don't carry the vote. Over 75% of the club's voting shares are still owned by supporters. Hearts became the 4th club within Blue Jordan, joining its white club Titan, Belgium's Royal Blue Jordan, and Australia's Melbourne Victory. Blue first forged their relationship with the club when the club signed a deal with James Conner, which is an off-boot for his private but the services are finding valuable Blue states on the meeting with identifying some of the best recruitment. Under his ownership, Brighton have risen from the will take much improvement and even qualify. They have also raised competition through the likes of Quinton Salcedo, João Pedro, and Marco Correa, as well as some players who didn't work out. In Yankee Clemente, Mauro Sosa, Carlos Felipe, players who probably have similar alongside with their current squad, and they are currently working on victories already against Newcastle, Chelsea, and City. If you want to learn more about how works and why Brighton's recruitment is so good, I have made a whole video dedicated to it. Royal Union Saint-Gilles as well, where I've also made hadn't played top flight football for almost 20 years. And hadn't won the top flight before going into the title and topping the Pro League's Champions Wales.
Oh my god, how do you miss that?
Among the most acute data analytics platforms. For a club that is operating on 1/6 of the revenue of reigning Scottish champions, Hearts need all of their allocated business. This summer, the Champs Hearts brought in US-born American defender O'Shane McEntee from League 2 Walsall and Portuguese striker Claudio Prada for less than £500,000 from Norwegian club Alfred, and exciting Greek lineman Alexandros Kizaridis, also last year, when he scored 16 goals in the
Let's see, let's see.
All three have been standout players at the start of this season.
Oh,
Elsewhere,
oh,
winger Elton
solo.
Johnston,
Okay, bro.
followed by
Of all the, I don't know why he shot with his left. He could have kept going down the middle and shot with his right. Would have been a better shot attempt. Way better.
Claudio Braga in trade in Norway for Edinburgh, and Hart set a new club record fee to bring Brazilian midfielder Eduardo Geu from Portuguese outfit Santa
Yes,
Clara
sir.
£1.7 million. These are players who were likely on few other Scottish clubs' radars, from markets which Scottish clubs, including Arsenal very recently, typically wouldn't explore. It is recruitment which has Tony Bloom's fingerprints all over it, though few Hearts players, it must be said, have been more impressive this season than 30-year-old centre-back Stuart Findlay, who spent the last 2 seasons on loan at Kilmarnock, and who has joined Hearts on loan from Oxford United with a view to a permanent transfer. It's not just the new arrivals. Lawrence Shankland, another 30-year-old Scot, has returned to being among the sharpest shooters in the Scottish game, following a wobble last season, with 8 goals from 13 appearances in all competitions already this term. Meanwhile, fullback and wide man Darren Hill, who joined Hearts last February, experienced centre-back Craig Halkett, who has been at the club since 2019, and diminutive defensive midfielder Cameron Devlin, who joined from his native Australia in 2021, have all been superb. Halkett, quite remarkably, has scored 5 goals from 13 games in all competitions this season as a centre-back. Much of the credit is owed to new boss Derek McGuinness, a 2-time SFWA Manager of the Year, who was also capped twice by Scotland in 2002. McGuinness took St Johnstone to the Scottish Premiership as Championship title winners. He finished as Scottish Premiership runners-up 4 times and won a Scottish League Cup at Aberdeen, and he inspired Kilmarnock from the Scottish Championship to the UEFA Europa League. Bloom's data-driven strategy is new to McGuinness, as chairman and Budge acknowledged in a recent interview with the BBC that he has embraced it, and why wouldn't it? It has blessed Hearts with one of the most talented and exciting squads in the division. Whilst Bloom is bullish, stating unequivocally that his aim is to dethrone the 2 Glasgow Giants who have dominated Scottish football for well over a century now, Budge, who will step down as chairman next month following more than a decade at the helm, has exercised a little more caution. She told the BBC recently, quote, "Tony is the one who has this huge ambition, and he's the one who can come out and say these things. Me, I want to go for continuous improvements. Do I think they can do it? Actually, I do. But there are so many external factors that you can't control. Celtic, Rangers, and a lot of other clubs will be out there to make it hard for us." End quote. Derek McGuinness, likewise, has sought to cool the flames. He told Sky Sports following his team's recent 3-1 victory over Celtic, quote, "I don't think it's a statement win. It might be for others on the outside looking in. It might change opinions. It might validate opinions, but there is a title." End quote. These are the typical words of the manager trying to turn out players, but McGuinness, along with everyone else in the box, knows full well that the club has a once-in-a-generation opportunity. That's not only because of their own and the hard work that possible, but because it couldn't be any more perfectly timed. Former Intel CEO Andrew Gold once said that success breeds complacency and complacency breeds failure, and few clubs have been as successful as Celtic players. In terms of trophies, only Egyptian giants Al Ahly and London, in terms of titles, only Leeds. Complacency is an allegation frequently leveled at the Celtic board, including bad road supporters, many of whom will never forgive them for spurning the opportunity in the 2020 and earn internal bragging rights within the old club. Having been so dominant for so long, Celtic were abysmal this season, finishing 25 points behind their invincible Glasgow rivals. Though they rebounded to win the last 4 league tables in 2016, even winning a treble in 2020, there has been an inescapable sense of stagnation or regression, and a feeling that not early enough has been done to address it. Celtic's habit of inspired victims, whether that be Victor Wanyama and those who have subsided in recent years, arguably not since Japanese international yoga have started signing a very serious club, and even he has subsequently failed to replicate the goals from the with either red or Birmingham City. Brendan Rodgers, who Celtic reappointed in 2023 after he had walked out on the mid-season appeared to publicly take aim at the club. Rodgers described two of Celtic's signings, Japanese duo Ayoto as quote, the club's signing, which many took to be
I didn't even see that, I'll be honest.
happening with Brian Rodgers, and their arrival. Celtic flatly denied that any players were bought or sold by Rodgers without his quote, full knowledge, approval.
Wait, what? Oh, that was an out.
Writing may have been on the wall in terms of Rodgers and Celtic as soon as this very public war of trust began. Results haven't helped. Whereas Celtic were relentless in Rodgers' first club, winning back-to-back trebles, principals, and a third successive treble during the same season as he departed, the warning signs of a failure to refresh at the end of the squad have been there ever since he returned. Defeat against Aberdeen set off more than one well during a season in which Celtic comfortably won the title but lost back-to-back Old Firm derbies. There is no more important fixture when it comes to this, and Rodgers' depleted reputation as an honest focused badly damaging the spin. From that, you anticipated such a shock start to the current campaign, an extremely costly defeat on penalties against both financially, reputationally, and just in terms of the overall atmosphere surrounding the club, was followed 4 days later by possibly the first Old Firm derby in living memory, a 0-0 draw with the right and no Rodgers left the performance as a result of within 24 hours of reemerging something, and claiming that he had never been more motivated at the club or in defeat against France, Rodgers resigned. Shortly after Celtic interviews, Dermot Desmond, who is the largest influence on the club, went deeply published on the club website. Desmond effectively accused Rodgers of lying about Celtic's recruitment and absolved himself from the regarding the team's master. Desmond stated, quote, when his comments were made publicly, I sought to address them directly. Brendan and I met for despite ample opportunity, he was unable to identify a single instance where the covenant structure or the facts did not match his public narrative. Regrettably, his words and actions since then have been defeating, misleading, and self-serving. They have contributed to a toxic atmosphere around the club and fueled hostility towards members of the executive team and the board. Some of the abuse directed at them and at their families has been entirely unwarranted and unacceptable. Every member of the board and executive team is deeply and acts at all times with them, integrity, and a shared desire for success. What has failed recently was not due to our structure or model, but to one individual's desire for self-preservation at the expense of others. It is among the most brutal post-mortems that I've ever seen following a departure, and quite possibly the most from a club of Celtic stature. While sympathy for Rodgers is hopelessly in short supply, having walked out of the good season for the second time, and with his side of the story not yet even public, the idea that all of Celtic
damn, man,
seems to be somewhat exceeds anyone well towards Rodgers in many ways. Despite links with return to Charleroi, Celtic have since appointed Martin O'Neill on an interim basis, who last managed the club 20 to 25 years ago. Highly successful during that period, in which he won 3 league titles up against a free-spending Rangers team. O'Neill is 73 years old now and hasn't held a managerial role in over 6 years. His methods were considered old school, and even antiquated by some critics, the best part of 2 decades ago, but now he is back in management in one of the most high-pressure environments in world football. However bad the situation is at Celtic right now, though, it is almost certainly significantly worse at Rangers. This is an advert brought to you by me. A lot of people stop me in the street and say, wow, it's Alfie Botsama. You're the best football YouTuber in the world, and somehow even more handsome in real life than online. Please may I have your autograph, take a photo, and sleep with you? And I have to say, look, I'm very sorry, that is awfully kind of you, but I do have a goal. The other thing that they often say, I mean, almost always really, is there any way that I can get more of you? Is there perhaps a second channel of yours that I could subscribe to where you make to-camera documentaries about various interesting topics? And I say, yes, it's called the Alfie Potsama YouTube channel, and funnily enough, I just uploaded my latest video there about the Basque derby between Real Sociedad and Athletic Club, the history of Basque sporting culture, and why that game is so unique among major football rivals. Oh, it sounds fascinating, and it is. It's like unlike Belgium, Rangers will hardly be accused of running successfully on places. What is? Because they have been relatively stark. Rangers have only won one and one Scottish League Cup. The long line of being the most successful club in the world, it has been a brutal. A run to the final of the 2015 Trophy. But Giovanni Van Bronckhorst on penalties against Frankfurt. That was a Rangers team that posted the likes of Calvin Cassie, Frank Kamara, Charleroi, Amad Diallo, Stephen Davis, all starting on the pitch. It feels a far cry from the current Rangers. James Tavernier remains by which I mean consistent goal scoring, whilst also being consistent. Canadian international Derek Cornelius has been out, but he has played in the club. And Belgian international was the same despite looking up one stage as no good. Throughout the squad, though, there is a distinct lack of inspiration. Rangers had a change of ownership over the summer, as an American consortium led by Henry Kamara and 49 executives purchased a controlling big complex Kamara became Rangers.
Yes, sir.
Their first major act was the Grand Russell Market as Rangers' new head coach.
I wonder if Ramis is back from injury. If not, I know for sure by January he should be back.
Where he won 1, drew 2, and lost 13 up to the 16th of March.
Bro, it's a bunch of 3 in the back.
For a club that expects trophies and views itself as a behemoth, with all of the pressure that comes with it, Martin's lack of pedigree was treated with immediate suspicion. Then there is the ideological cult of I insist on the title, all which influenced the almost messianic religion, and the blood and thunder of both of them based on that, which is favoured by many religions.
Damn, what a fucking save. Oh, I was offside anyways.
Martin edged closer to the exit or in many ways, it wasn't even his fault. Rangers' new owners and directors knew exactly who and what they had signed up for, and Martin was putting that management position, albeit with very little success. If he wanted a quiet life, however, and to maybe buy himself some time with players and supporters, he had an unusual way of going. Following the literal first game of the season, a 1-1 draw against Rockwell, Martin said that his players, quote, didn't run enough, didn't fight enough, and weren't brave enough, quote, adding the quote, I think it's a problem the club has had over the last few years, that when it's going well it's fine, and when it stops, it's a problem. In fairness, that is just a basic statement of fact that any club, or indeed, in any scenario in life, when things are going well, it's fine, when they're not, it's a problem. That is just a description of what's going well. In August, as in the same August that the season starts, Martin doubled down on questioning his players' commitment, following Rangers' humiliating
Oh.
his popular players don't really want to fight with each other or the club. There was a feeling of
Unless since he came back from injury, just
Martin was great
to you got a little better. Oh
prioritizing
yeah,
Arsenal.
nice and focused.
So the character all of it. Nicholas Raskin, the best player in the club, was the poster boy for the sidelined by Martin, who Steve couldn't mind with, while he was starting games for the National League with his ranks equally wide. Rangers failed to win any of their opening 5 matches for the first time since the 1978-79 season, a campaign in which they would go on to win a cup double serving Rangers manager of all time. It took Rangers over 2 weeks to appoint Danny Rowell as his replacement during this time, an entire international break, and Rangers grew 2-all up against Belgium. Following Rowell's arrival, chairman
Oh, the goal. Oh,
which
that was the
Ronald
offside.
Reagan is quoted as once saying, "If you're explaining, you're losing." And I feel like if you are explaining that you haven't screwed up a managerial appointment, then you are probably also losing. Charleroi also ran the goal on
Which one is he? Oh my. Oh.
When pressed on by moves from clinical techniques. In some ways, Roll suffers from some of the same misgivings as Martin. He has never managed in a top flight of any description, and his only senior managerial experience consists of less than 2 years of crisis-stricken Sheffield United. It is there that the comparisons get higher. Roll is a with from all fans and fast exchanging informal areas, whereas Russell Martin is limited to one very specific position. Roll wanted the club and changing his entire formation during the initial stay if he felt as though it gave the Owls the best possibility of getting the chance. Whilst Wednesday is Roll's only job in senior management before joining Rangers, what a job he did. In a state of utter crisis under Franchuola de Conchitari, Roll inherited a team that had made the worst start to the season in the history of the Championship, had zero resources to strengthen the squad, and one in which players and staff were frequently paid less. By the start of December, 18 games into the season, Wednesday had only won 1 game. Yet Roll this one of the EFL's all-time greatest mistakes. In fact, had the season started in December, Roll's Owls would actually have made the playoffs. In his second season, despite yet further chaos, they almost did. During a campaign in which mere survival would have been an exceptional achievement, Wednesday finished 12th, halfway between the playoffs and the bottom 3 in terms of points, even following an end-of-season collapse with a threadbare squad. Roll may lack experience, therefore, but he could hardly have done much more with the limited experience that he has, still aged only 36. The pressure at Rangers is immense, whereas there was almost none on him at Wednesday given the club's circumstances, but by the same token, however much of a mess Rangers may appear to be in, it will seem like a slick operation to Roll in comparison to his previous club. Elsewhere, Hibs, not dissimilar to their Edinburgh rivals Hearts, are part-owned by one of the Premier League's most astute owners, who is renowned for orchestrating some of the division's best recruitments. Bill Foley, an 80-year-old Texan who bought Bournemouth 3 years ago, acquired a 25% stake in Hibs through his Black Knight holding group in February 2024 for a reported £6 million, expanding his own multi-club operation. From the outside looking in, even if based only on the city's fundamentals, it's always seemed as though there is scope for at least one of the Edinburgh clubs, Hearts or Hibs, to compete with the 2 Glasgow giants. Bloom and Foley presumably feel the same. Hibs finished 3rd last season, 6 points in 5 places above Hearts, but the relationship between majority and minority investors appears to be more fractured and equal. It was reported at the start of last season that Foley wasn't and Malcolm Mackay's are one or two Scottish clubs which have been also have significant American ownership. Chairman Dave Cormack, who is also a character, is a software engineer based in MLS company by the Florida club, the Bulls and Silver as well as six Bulls and profits Aberdeen appointed extensive former Germany goalkeeper as their new sporting director. However, one of the most clinical lifestyle workers, but then it's still played for 25 years. He was sent to he was locked up for over 100 days in Singapore. He stole a penguin in New Zealand, and he officially died for while playing for Blackburn by now. Aberdeen have disappeared him because of the character, but that is still a second age, serving as head director of the Sporting CEO. Sporting director. The club became a major league soccer state. As I said, several topics that we put in this video could be classic videos, and extensive ones of others. Scottish football is vibrant and but also chaotic, now more than ever. Parts of capitalising on that, which some of them to introduce a game that's not all otherwise, in that a company like Belgium parts have a house with budget 6 Let's see for a way to take care of it. Parts placing serves as a reminder that things won't always go their way. Celtic and Rangers both made up 2 points from them, and Mark CEO on some preparation, only with both touchdowns. Primarily because he is already the threshold to remain within the rules should Brighton Hearts both qualify for the same league. The animus towards Celtic Rangers against the stage is so firm that even those kids right will take Hearts to keep the old Burley blood in them. That is it. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button if you let me know your thoughts on it. Make sure that what you see this channel also has second along with a couple of videos in you can also buy me on various social media platforms, typically by the UK. Either by heading to the alphabet.
I would have thought Union was a little better, though.
Google won't take those. The options there. Let's see. Follows the recipe. How can I hold this? Please take care of that. I love you all very much. At the time of recording, Arsenal have only conceded 3 goals in 10 Premier League games. In all competitions, just 3 in 15. It's early days. If you could all tell him to stop being such a loser in the comments and just send it to for a video on the alcohol family, that would also be nice. And while you're at it, obviously make sure that you are subscribed to the channel in time to watch my second video about football in the next week. And hopefully,
Why did he shoot it like that?
I'm not going to it. It's much more interesting. Look, you'll just have to wait. There are lots of ways that you can find the greatest defensive teams of all time.
Nah, that
Isn't
XG
the
looks
team with the
crazy.
best
Oh
man?
shit.
Maybe something like Maldini, Nesta, Stammen, Kaku at AC Milan in the mid-2000s, or Marcelo, Varane, Ramos, and Carvajal, or recently at Real Madrid. Is it the team that concedes the fewest goals, like Porto in the 1979-80 season, who only conceded 9 goals in 30 games, or Deportivo La Coruña under club legend Arsenio Iglesias in the 1993-94 season, who only conceded 18 goals in 38 La Liga matches? Or is it the best overall defensive unit, something like Man City's 2018-19 domestic parameters, whose brilliant back line was shielded by Fernandinho, and a midfield and forward line packed full of energy and industry? I mean, they say that attack is the best form of defence, so maybe the best defensive team was Real Madrid in the 2012 season, when they scored a record-breaking 128 goals in only 38 games. So which is it? I'm not sure, to be totally honest with you, although I am pretty confident that it's not the last one. I think we could all agree that would be silly. So I'm just going to combine all of the other factors with an extra emphasis on the fewest number of goals conceded, since it is perhaps the most objective metric, but hopefully while also taking the level of competition, historic context, and the level of ability of the players involved into account. Burnley last season, for example, had one of the best defensive records in history in the Championship, only shipping 16 goals in 46 games, and Rangers only let in 13 goals in 38 games when they went invincible in the 2020-21 Scottish Premiership. But if I were to call either of them the greatest defensive teams of all time, you'd probably be well within your rights to ask me for a refund. Well, you wouldn't, of course, unless you were a channel member, because you haven't paid me for anything, but you would have the right to look at me like I was a bit odd. In fairness, I think you have that right anyway, based upon the fact that I am still rambling on with this introduction, if nothing else. Right, enough of this explaining the criteria with useful examples, LP. Literally no one cares. Without further ado, who wasn't a defender and is therefore of no use to us whatsoever today, here are the 7 greatest defensive football teams of all time, factually, in my opinion. 7. Liverpool, 1978-79. The 2004-05 Chelsea team is frequently lauded as being the greatest defensive unit in the history of English football, but technically speaking, that title belongs to Liverpool's class of 78-79. Though Chelsea conceded 1 fewer goal under Jose Mourinho than Liverpool did under Bob Paisley, they only played 38 games in a 20-team top flight, whereas Liverpool played 42 games in what was still a 20-team division. On a per-game basis, therefore, Chelsea conceded an average of 0.394 compared to Liverpool's 0.38 goals a game. Yes, admittedly, Liverpool were a truly horrible team, scoring 85 goals in the first game. They crushed Spurs 7-0, stuck 10 goals past Norwich in the streets, and battered Manchester United 5-0. Formidable in every division, Liverpool's sole defensive last 8 seasons, their backline mostly consisted of Phil Neal and Oliver Kahn. Either side of them, Neal was they were shielded by Raúl Jiménez, who was accompanied at midfield by David Steve and Jimmy. If we are getting points back to any goal, still 1 year before Ian Rush joined the club. That is to say nothing of Emlyn Hughes, one of Liverpool's greatest ever players, who made
precious money. I mean, just listen to how she describes herself.
For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Justine. I'm a stay-at-home wife, but I don't cook everything because I don't feel like it. But my husband is a full-time stand-up comedian, and he buys me lots of nice things.
And trust me, guys, after this, the clips only get much worse. You know, it's almost like going from Weenie Hut Jr. straight to House Inferno, as she totally comes off as an entitled gold digger when it comes to finances.
How do you and your husband split finances? We don't. If you want to work, all for that. But like, man that doesn't want to have a joint bank account or isn't being transparent with his account, that's a fucking red flag. His money is our money, and my money is my money.
Yes, that's very easy to say when you have no income.
That is actually my number one. They must be generous with their finances from day one.
Oh, I love my wife. I love my wife. Let's go ride a bike with my wife.
And it's just like the best fucking part is like living with your best friend. Also, it's like there's who buys you designer shit.
My wife is objectively gorgeous. So that's what you gotta do. I gotta work my ass off, and then every time she starts looking at me and she starts assessing my beauty, I just throw a bag at that bitch.
And just look at her sheer reaction to Akash surprising her with an upgraded wedding ring recently.
First of all, I want to say happy birthday. All of this is possible because you told me I could do something that I wanted.
With him also saying that he now wanted to renew their vows in India in front of their families, and just pay attention to what her main focus was in this clip.
I think the only thing she could do. Will you be just lean sing forever again?
She's tripping on that.